Hi, everyone. My name is Laurie, and I am the author of two books right now. I also have some stories in Kindle Vella, but let me just talk a little bit about me first. I'm an artist. I've been a professional artist for over 20 years now. Might be closer to 25. And but I always wanted to be a writer as well. It's just a dream of mine. And when I was very young, I just wrote and wrote and wrote, and then I still have some of it too. I still have some of it. It's not very good, but I have it. And then I sort of gave up a little bit on it because, well, like I had someone make fun of me, and then I thought I had someone tell me that I wasn't smart enough, or who did I think I was for thinking I could be a writer? I don't have any real formal education, so I mean, some college, but I always just felt like I was a natural storyteller, like I could do it. And I didn't have some of the opportunities maybe some other people did, but everything I've ever done has been, I don't like to call it self taught anymore. I used to, but now I learned a lot. Well, it was self taught, some of it, like the arts specifically, but I also went to the library. I picked up books on how to paint. And then when the internet became a thing, of course, I just absorbed everything I possibly can. I watched tons and tons of videos. YouTube is my college, especially now for writing. And I have another channel that I teach. Um, Sorry for the pause. I have another channel where I teach how to paint dolls because that is my expertise and that's what I'm a professional at. So, a few years back, more than I'd like to say, my sister-in-law and I decided to write a book together, something she had always dreamed about as well. So we spent years and years writing together, and this was before we had a computer. This was before, everything that has happened now. So we sent the book off to some publishing houses, and we just never heard, well, we heard back some positive responses, said it needed some more work, things like that. So but we lost the main manuscript because it was in an old, like a typewriter that was a computer, but not really, just like a glorified thing. So we lost it, and we never could really recover it. And we were both going through difficult marriages, and those marriages ended. And when I went through my divorce, I came back to writing. And because everything was so crazy, my sister-in-law and I did not have time to write together. So she started her own story. I started my own story. And we kind of riffed off of our old book a little bit. Both of us did, in different ways. In different ways. And then we talked about it, and we were like, what if we made our worlds the same world? So that turned out to be a really crazy and fun idea because I'm on one side of the world. I had originally started writing my story as a historical because that was what we had done in the past. So I wrote it as historical, and then she wrote fantasy, and then I said, well, I would like to do fantasy as well. That just seems like so much fun. Like so many doors are open in fantasy. Both of us write romance. So, one side of the world is her side, and one side of the world is my side. Hers is the magical realm, and mine is like the normal realm. But there are magical elements on my side as well. And it just really worked out so beautifully. So we named it the Lands of Lyra. And the way we got the name, we had all the lands, obviously, but Lara came from our first original characters, which were Captain Rail and Nadera Scott. So we used their last letters of their name, Rail and Nadera, to make Lara. And then we also used the original name of the book as our little publishing company. So we had named the first book Golden Rapture. It was the 90s. It was like that kind of vibe, you know, bodice rippers and all. So we decided to call our publishing house, between the two of us, it's not a real publishing house, it's just us publishing under Golden Rapture Books, which we love. And it's just that little throwback to our beginnings. But during the time in between, I became an online artist selling. I still do that. That's still my job. That's my day job, I'll call it. Dolls are. But I've got remarried, and things calmed down in my world. I don't want to get like emotional about it, but I found like a wonderful husband, and um, uh, just my life was so much more stable and settled. And I thought, well, that's not really how it started. I just continued with dolls. Things were fine. And then I got early onset cataracts, which is really rare. And it scared the heck out of me because I didn't know what was going on. And hold on, let me try to like gather myself. So I couldn't see to paint, and I paint miniatures. So it was really frustrating. And while I didn't know, and I was a little bit afraid, and I didn't make appointments, I started writing. I mean, I could see well enough to write. I had to make the fonts really big and stuff like that, but it worked out. And so I wrote my first book, and I had started it actually when I was going through the divorce, and then I came back, and I had changed so much since then. It'd been a decade. So, some kind of noise outside. Anyway, it had been like a decade. So I was just like different, you know? I'm just a different person. And then also self-publishing became a huge thing. I'm sorry about my air conditioner. Just kicked on. So it became a huge thing, self-publishing. And I signed up for it many years ago, but I never did anything with it because it was confusing and I didn't really know how to do it, but they've made it so user-friendly now. Honest to goodness, it's not that hard at all. So I already had my KDP set up, and I already knew the name of the book, and I had already written 3/4 of it, I guess. So I came back in and I was like, I'm going to do this again. I can't see anyway, and I spent my days writing Awaiting Rain, and also watching a bazillion videos on YouTube on how to write. So I learned a lot, and I had to go back and edit and edit and edit and edit, and I changed a good half of the book. So I also added the fantasy elements. So it was so much fun, and I can't believe I pieced it together and created something I'm so proud of, you know? I'm really proud of it. I love my characters so much. I've been with them for so many years, and so they have like a special place in my heart. And then from Awaiting Rain, which was never a plan in the beginning, really, other than my sister-in-law has her story, which is a part of the same series, but standalone, you know, and it really doesn't involve my characters other than mentions of my side of the world, or maybe mentions of my characters. But so I introduced a character even way back then that was on an island, and I named the okay, this is gonna sound funny. I named the characters Precorians. They were from Precora. And my plan back then was they were actually going to be like, when I said I had created the world, I had made it the Americas and England. So it was America and England in like the 1600s during the pirating time. And so I changed all of that. And I named America, like that's where it would be, like the main storyline starts there. and I named it Pecora. And then I used Pecorians, which would be American Indians, sort of like based off that. So because I went fantasy, I decided to make them have like white hair, very pale skin, and purple eyes. And then I don't know, years later, I saw Game of Thrones, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like Targaryens, Precorians, like it was so similar, but I did not riff off of Game of Thrones because I had never even heard of it or anything at that time. But I didn't want to change it. Once I did, I just left it the way it was because I liked it. Um, so my character is Rain Oria, and she lives on Pecora, in an area called Monter Hollow, which is like a shipping area. But they also have these. I don't want to get too deep into the story, but she is going to get married. She doesn't want to. We'll just leave it at that. It's so much more fun to read it and find out what happened. But she decides to run away, and she ends up on a pirate ship, which in my story is called Sea Raiders. And I decided to make the Sea Raiders based loosely off of Vikings because I really like some of the lore of the Vikings. But it's definitely a mix between like a buccaneer and a pirate and Vikings. So Sea Raiders. And then of course her betrothed is like freaking out because she jumped ship, and she didn't know that it was she didn't know it was a Sea Raider ship. So they go on some grand adventures throughout the book, and I had so much fun adding, like I said, those fantasy elements. But then I introduced that character Astra, and Astra was just a girl on an island where the Pecorians had escaped to when the people from Tarazi, because that's what Rain is, she's Tarazian. She's from, it's like England, where they would have migrated over to the Americas. Same thing, except for the, I call it the Pecorians. Instead of them staying, most of them left. They migrated to an island called Micah Isle because it has this beautiful black sand. But then, of course, Sea Raiders decided to make it their stronghold. And that was kind of based a little bit loosely on Tortuga Island, which is real. So they're on Micah Isle. That's where we meet Astra. And once I was finished with Awaiting Rain, I realized Astra had a story, and it needed to be told. So, it birthed another book. And Astra's story is, she's a mermaid. So that was like kind of a thing about the Pecorians. Not all Pecorians are mermaids, but the tribe that lives on Micah Isle are a tribe of mermaids and mermen. And so she is a mermaid who gets caught up being kind of chased by a fisherman. So it's very they're both romances. They're bodice rippers for sure. I try to develop interesting characters that I feel like have grown through the series and changed their outlook on things, and I've introduced new people along the way. Hopefully some interesting side characters that you'll love, and getting emotional about it again. And then, of course, I had created a character named Dahlia Pettigrew, who is literally mentioned in maybe the first chapter of Awaiting Rain. And she lives in Monter Hollow as well. She was a little bit of an antagonist to my two other girls, and now she's getting her own story. So I'm hoping I can help her grow. But here I am, many, many years later. If you've made it this far into the video, I really appreciate it. I'll try to cut out some of the ums and the ahs, but now I have been writing since, I guess I don't know how long I've been writing now, but I published the first book March 2022, the second one June 2023. I also started a Vella, and I have several stories there. I'm doing some short stories that are not romance. They're like little haunted tales. And I'll probably put that in like one book when I have enough, I guess. But books that are upcoming for me, I'm just starting to write Dahlia now because I just finished Astra. But in the interim, I also wrote a book called Everbean Coffee Shop, which is a sweet hometown romance that has no spice, um, and has a plus size heroine, and it's contemporary. And then I also wrote another book called Crystal Dreams, and Crystal Dreams is coming out next, and I'll promo it here. But Crystal Dreams is, it's another series that my sister-in-law and I put together. This one's called Realms, the Realms of Lore. And in this one, they are it's all fantasy. It's very spicy. Like, this is super spice. That is what these books are. And Crystal Dreams is about a woman who is in her mid to late 50s. She is unsatisfied with her life. Her and her husband are kind of bored together, and she just doesn't know what she wants to do anymore. She's long retired from work and everything, and she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. And she goes to a psychic for advice, and the psychic gives her this ruby, and it's like a not worth anything kind of ruby, just a raw ruby that's like a little flat disc. And so she tells her, put this under your pillow. And she makes it into a necklace because she's afraid she'll lose it. And she dreams that she goes to this world where there's this dragon man, like a dragon warrior. And she succumbs to the passion of it because she believes she's dreaming. And maybe she is. Maybe she is dreaming. Maybe it's all a dream. But because it's called Crystal Dreams, so maybe. Anyway, it is a not Cinderella, it's a Snow White story. It's like a reimagined Snow White. So there's an evil queen. There is a lot of intrigue and a lot of fantasy and a lot of spice. So just be aware of that. And then after that, my next spicy story will be Princess of the Galaxy, which is a riff on Beauty and the Beast versus and Star Wars. So those two will be coming out, but Crystal Dreams first. I'm still finishing up Princess of the Galaxy. You can also just skip right to Kindle Vella and read them before they come. But if you just prefer to get them on ebook or Kindle Unlimited, they'll be available, or even paperback. They'll be available pretty soon. And then my sister-in-law is currently writing for the Realms of Lore, her spicy fairy tale, because they're fairy tale stories, like riffs off fairy tales. Hers is Little Red Riding Hood. So, of course, Red Riding Hood is an adult woman, not a little, and she's using like the wolf, So that's going to be fun. Anyway, I will keep you guys updated. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching my very long video. I hope you'll check out Awaiting Rain and Awakening Astra. They are truly my dreams come true, that these not just published one book, but two. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.